Once your sponge food blocks have dried, then all you need to do to make any kind of structure or a rubble pile is to add a little bit of PVA glue and just attach them like so. And if you don't want to use the PVA glue, you can also use hot glue gun. And here's another terrain piece I'm making. This is for one of our local game shops. They have a huge war game community and D&D community and shelves full of terrain. So I've been wanting to make them some sponge foo. You can see the detail here of the weatheredness, how sharp that's going to look. It's sponge foo glued to XPS foam. And to get this shape, I took a foam cutter and I beveled the edges. You could use a knife if you wanted. And then to attach the sponge foo blocks, that's a tongue twister. To attach the sponge foo blocks, I used a PVA glue. You can use Arlene's tacky glue, which is my favorite. I also have a big jugs of Elmer's. Any kind of PVA glue will work. This right here is a plastic bit I got from the miniature market in St. Louis when I was back visiting. And I just glued it to a sponge foo square because I thought it would look nice in the middle of the ruins. It adds a cohesive effect with the sponge foo tying into the same brick that would have theoretically been used for this building. And I think it adds a little bit of history and a bit of story. What was this ruin at one point? It must have been significant if there was this magical obelisk. And in the background, here's an example of some sponge foo that's been painted. This is just a modular wall. This is how I first started making my Frostgrave terrain. I just took up some sponges and made little small walls on cardboard. But anyway, I digress. And back to Lobster Man for scale. Stay away from that tub of butter. I wanted to combine the two techniques of the cobblestones with the sponge foo. So here you go. You can see that texture. And this is a close-up shot of the texture for the cobblestone effect for the flooring, which was used with the pencil technique, the back of the pencil technique. I do have a video for that, which you can look down below and find. Here are some samples of the ruins that have been painted already, the sponge foo technique. This is how I started my early Frostgrave terrain. It was really cheap and affordable before I started making buildings and giant structures. There's a bunch of minis here for scale if you want to take a look. I love the modularity of these ruins, and they're super cheap. You can make something that's easy for them to jump over, maybe give them partial cover, or you can make a wall and use them however you want on your battle mat. I'm a big fan of the neoprene battle mats. You can make whatever you want.